In the modern day, we may often attribute many advancements in science, math, philosophy, and technology to the European Renaissance, but we actually have the Islamic world to thank for jump-starting this movement with intellectual discoveries not seen since the fall of the Roman Empire. While Europe was in the Dark Ages, the second Caliph al-Mansur founded the capital city of Baghdad, the largest urban area in the world in 930 CE, which housed the Bait al-Hikmah, or House of Wisdom, and was open to scholars visiting from various parts of the world. This academic hub grew from al-Mansur's private collection and was the largest library in the world in 850 CE. After many important ancient scholarly texts were translated into Arabic during this time, known as the Translation Movement, Islamic scholars studied natural Greek philosophy, Indian arithmetic, and other areas of studies from outside the Middle East. They even improved on these ancient studies through analyses. European painters, scholars, and linguists could also be found in the court of Mehmet II, the caliphate in the 15th century. This sharing of knowledge is what created a foundation for and stimulated further intellectual development in Europe during the Renaissance and Enlightenment, though Europe often gets most of the credit.
The Quran makes several statements alluding to prosperity for those who seek knowledge, and so, for many years after the Prophet's death, scientific and mathematical inquiry were looked upon as a way to please God. Following the construction of the House of Wisdom, several scholars agreed that similar to the sciences, the pursuit of mathematical understanding could be likened to a religious journey, an attempt to be closer to divinity by trying to understand how the world works.
Astronomy was one such area where the Islamic world made monumental discoveries. Driven by their faith, Muslim mathematicians made advancements that would change our understanding of our place in the universe. Research and God went hand in hand, with a verse in the Quran even stating that through the stars, mankind can be guided by them through the darkness of the land and sea. The work of al-Farghani during the 9th century, specifically elements of astronomy on the celestial motions, became the basis of Europe's research into Ptolemaic studies. Al-Biruni also suggested in the 11th century that Ptolemy never proved that the Earth does not move in a scientific way and suggested that it instead spins on an axis. In the 10th century, Al-Sufi's drawings of celestial bodies and constellations in his book, The Book of the Fixed Stars, became the officially accepted versions and were widely used in Europe during their own astronomical endeavors. We still use many of Al-Sufi's names for the stars today. Copernicus and Galileo later built on many of the ideas of these scholars. However, unlike Europeans during their ages of intellectual boom, Muslims were not considered heretics for their research and were instead encouraged to make scientific discoveries in the name of God.
For centuries, scientific discoveries made by Greek scholars were critically unchecked and widely accepted. Muslim physicians disputed this with the disapproval of Galen's theory. Aelius Galenus, Greek physician, believed illness was caused by an imbalance of the human body's four humors: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. However, Ibn Sina challenged his theories in saying that disease can occur through external effects, such as air, soil, and water. He also said that every disease is unique and should be treated differently, with drugs that should all be tested. Ibn al-Nafis discovered pulmonary circulation, and thus cardiovascular science was born. Overall, Muslim physicians put more emphasis on the ideas of applying rationale and experimentation to the field of medicine for more trustworthy and viable answers. Medicine subsection, hospitals. Early hospitals sprung up during the Islamic Golden Age. Some of the most notable ones could be found in Baghdad, Damascus, and Cairo. At the time, they were considered the most modern-looking healthcare institutions worldwide. In keeping with a modern thinking, these hospitals were free secular institutions that treated people from all walks of life, whether they could pay or not. This was a result of adherence to Islamic law, which deemed it morally imperative to treat all sick people.
The Arabs lived as a true nomadic society, so physical art like paintings and sculptures was virtually impossible in the deserts of the Middle East. Because of this, artistic expression took a new form: language. More than any other language in the world, Arabic is designed for fluid sentence structure, creating multiple ways to express the same idea. Poetry became the premier art of the Arabs. The finest Arabic poets became celebrities with their works memorized and repeated for generations.
صديقي ناسينا المعلم تاريخي أفلاك وكواكب أرضي ومريخي زي يبقى ملجم ما سامع صريخ. ما في حقيقة، ما في كله مخدوع، ما في كله بيتلفت وعايز موضوع، كله بينكر كله ممنوع. ما قلنا العلوم أصيلة مصنوع، يا أخي من زمان حضارة قوية اسمها إسلام. عرب من آسيا ما كانوا ألمان، جابوا الفلك طب علوم وسينا وحيان وهيثم عيون من قلب السودان. حضارة كوشية في مروي يمان، للعرف والحديد تصنيع صهير، جابوا التشكيل في الماضي القديم. تاريخنا تقيل كان يفيد، عبقرة الدنيا تاريخهم قتيل كان يفيد. حضارة امتد امتدادا بالميل كان يفيد. عيني يا شب سبحة حضارة